The woman noticed something strange. Her newborn sons cried whenever she held them, but instantly calmed down when her mother-in-law took them. Instead of growing suspicious, she smiled knowingly. She was living her second chance at life. In her previous life, her husband died in a car accident on the day she gave birth. She raised their twin sons alone through years of hardship. They excelled academically and got into top universities. But at their college celebration, her husband suddenly reappeared after 20 years, with another woman by his side. He claimed she was the boy's real mother. The woman finally understood. The sons she raised were actually his affair children. The ungrateful boys had known all along. They conspired with their grandparents to transfer all her assets. Heartbroken and betrayed, she died of a sudden heart attack. When she opened her eyes, she was reborn on the same day she gave birth. Before she could gather her thoughts, her father-in-law delivered the news. Her husband had died in a car accident. Watching his poorly acted grief, she cursed her past self for being so blind. In her last life, she let them handle the funeral, allowing her husband to fake his death and disappear. Given this second chance, she vowed to make them all pay. Pretending to be heartbroken, she promised to raise the boys well. Her in-laws thought their plan was working and let their guard down. While they napped, she reached quietly for the two babies. 18 years flew by. Under her careful guidance, the twins got into prestigious universities. She eagerly shared the news with her in-laws, inviting them to the celebration. The next day, the grandparents arrived early, beaming with pride at their accomplished grandsons. As she prepared to seat her sons, her father-in-law stopped her. He said once the boys went up, the man was gravely injured in an explosion while trying to save his wife and daughter. But during his stay in the hospital, neither his wife nor daughter came to see him even once. Yet he didn't get angry, assuming they were simply too busy. As soon as he was discharged, he rushed home to visit them. Even when his junior apprentice invited him to become chairman of the Shinka group, he firmly declined. When he opened the door, he saw his wife holding her old flame close. Before she could explain, the woman introduced herself, saying she was his wife's college classmate and his old flame, named Chu Hanwon. Only then did the man understand why his wife insisted the daughter carry her surname, and why she was named Chin Siwon. Her daughter's name was chosen to honor her old flame. Seeing the situation was serious, the wife hurried to explain, telling him not to overthink. She said the woman had just returned to the country, had no family in Jiangcheng. She only called her over for company. Meanwhile, he had been gravely injured in the ICU, and she hadn't cared. But the old flame was worried about him being alone. Hearing this, the man felt deeply disappointed in his wife. He said nothing. Instead, he handed the birthday gift he had prepared for his daughter, but she dismissed it as childish compared to the luxury watch her old flame had bought. The old flame mocked him further, claiming he was less capable. Seeing this, the man's last shred of hope for his daughter vanished. He left the gift and went upstairs alone. Then he overheard his daughter wishing that her old flame and mother would marry and become her father. His wife, instead of scolding the daughter, advised her that birthday wishes shouldn't be spoken aloud, or they. After the girl came back to life, the first thing she did was stop her mother from going home. She pretended she wanted snacks and tricked her mom into going out, just to buy time for her scumbag father and his mistress. In her previous life, her mother had walked in on them when she came home early. The man not only beat her mother brutally, but also threw both mother and daughter out of the house. After that, her mother fell ill from heartbreak and passed away a few years later. The girl had begged her father for help, but he only mocked her and tossed a few coins in her face. Humiliated and desperate, she watched her mother die untreated, and before long her own heart failed from grief. Before she died, she swore that if there was another life, she would make her father pay for everything. When she opened her eyes again, she had gone back to that very day, the day her mother was about to walk in on the affair. She rushed to stop her mother at the door, and once again used the excuse of buying snacks to lure her out. They wandered around for half an hour, and before going back home, the girl called her father to warn him, forcing him to send the mistress away. When they returned, the man had already cleaned up the mess. The girl pretended she needed 8,000 yuan for a piano competition. Her father frowned, asking why it was so expensive. The girl said her teacher wanted her to compete at the provincial level next month, and that the first prize was 100,000. The teacher believed her level 10 skills could easily win. When the greedy man heard about the prize, he took the bait. He told her to wait in the living room while he got the money. She watched him pull a key from under a flower pot and open a safe in his study. What she saw shocked her. The safe was full of cash, yet the man was only a mid-level manager earning 4,000. The man went up the mountain for firewood and accidentally found 4 giant snake eggs. He hadn't tasted meat in days, so he rushed home and fired up the wok. But when he cracked the eggs, he saw tiny snakes wriggling in the pan. That sight nearly scared his soul out of his body. He thought he was hallucinating, but he still fried the eggs until the smell filled the whole house, then called his sister and grandpa to try them. Grandpa saw something wrong immediately. When he learned his grandson had cooked snake eggs, he got furious, because everyone in the village knew, you never touch the young on that mountain, or disaster would follow. But the man refused to listen, and that very night he had nightmare after nightmare. Then found their dog De Huang dead in the yard. Grandpa said the Snake King was punishing them, but the man still refused to believe it. He took his sister up the mountain to bury the dog, but while digging the pit, he suddenly froze. Inside the hole was a blood-soaked snakeskin. His sister jumped in fright, urging him to leave, but he brushed it off, saying she was overreacting. After burying De Huang, they went home. He even crushed the leftover eggshells in a bowl, saying they had great medicinal value. But as he smashed the shells, his sister felt a sharp pain in her stomach. She told him to stop, then fainted, saying her belly hurt terribly. When she woke up, Grandpa blamed the older grandson, saying he angered the Snake King and brought misfortune on them. The man still refused to believe it and argued with Grandpa again. After they both left, the sister still felt unwell. When she lifted her shirt, she saw a huge red mark spreading across her waist, wondering what it was. A group of college students went hiking deep in the mountains when they stumbled upon an ancient tomb. Inside were piles of treasure glittering in the torchlight. Before her sister could stop her, the younger girl reached out and touched a crystal called the Eternal Love Jade. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, a deafening roar echoed through the cave. The earth shook violently as if a dragon had awoken. They had no idea. The jade belonged to an ancient being who had searched for his lost love for 10,000 years. In the chaos, the elder sister ignored her own fear and saved her younger sister from falling rocks. But just as they were about to escape, the younger girl pushed her sister back into the collapsing cave, because only with her sister dead could the stepdaughter inherit the family fortune. A massive boulder came crashing down, but before it struck, a blinding golden light filled the cave, and a man in royal robes caught her in his arms. He looked at her stunned. She looked exactly like the woman he had loved and lost millennia ago. Could this be fate? A love reborn across 10,000 years. He called her by that ancient name. She stood frozen in confusion. Then suddenly the poison in his body flared up, the same deadly curse that had tormented him for centuries. The girl decided that rather than marry the arrogant heir her family had chosen, she would help the man who had saved her life. That night she stayed by his side, and by morning, when she woke, her clothes were torn. Seeing her blush, the man waved his hand, and a new gown appeared on her body. He even brewed her a bowl of tonic, though there was no kitchen in sight. Puzzled, she asked how he made it. The man frowned. What is a kitchen? Then with a snap of his fingers, blue flames danced in his palm. She gasped, blew gently at the flame to see if it would move. And it did. It was the sacred fire of legend. Now she was terrified. What kind of man was this? The little boy was shocked to discover that at midnight there was a sudden rapid knocking at the door outside his house. He thought his father, who was out hunting, had come back and tried to open the door, but his sister stopped him because she smelled a bear on the person outside the door. This made her recall the village legend about the man-faced bear. According to the legend, the man-faced bear loves to disguise itself as a person and appears at midnight to peel off human faces and eat hearts and livers, and their father, who had a key, would never knock on the door, so the siblings immediately jammed things against the door to hold it shut. Unbeknownst to them, there was indeed a male man-faced bear knocking outside the door. Just when they did not know what to do, their family dog suddenly made a huge commotion, allowing the siblings to escape. A second later, another knock came from outside, claiming to be their father. The little boy recognized the voice as his father and was about to open the door, but his sister stopped him again because their father had just come home a moment ago, which seemed too much of a coincidence. Growing wary, she asked the person outside what he had promised to bring back from the mountain 2 days ago. The man outside answered that it was mulberries and that he was carrying them in his pocket. Relieved by the correct answer, the siblings cautiously opened the door. Luckily, it was their father, who had returned from hunting a wild boar and nearly scared the siblings faint. They immediately told their father what had happened, and he sensed something was wrong when he noticed a huge bear paw print on their door. There was even bear fur stuck in the door crack. He immediately thought of old Wang next door, whose father and son had gone into the mountain 3 days ago and had not been seen since. The sister suddenly understood her father as concerned, but without solid evidence he could not be certain. To be safe, the next day he took the siblings to their uncle's house because their uncle was the only experienced bear hunter within 100 miles. When they arrived, they found that their family dog had even had its intestines. The law student had just been reborn, and the first thing he did was throw a bomb into the police station. People on the street screamed in panic, thinking a terrorist attack was happening, but no one knew. He did it to save his own life. As the bomb was about to go off, he was dragged into an interrogation room, and he immediately confessed, saying he acted alone, refusing any negotiation, demanding to be detained on the spot. The police thought he'd lost his mind. Turns out the bomb was just a string of firecrackers, but his attitude was so aggressive, they still decided to detain him for a few days. What no one realized was that everything went exactly as he planned, because this was the only way he could avoid the disaster that was coming. In his previous life, his best friend Zhao Tianyu killed a girl and framed him for the murder. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. His parents couldn't take the shock, and both died soon after. In prison, he suffered every kind of torture imaginable, and on the day he was finally released, Zhao's men beat him to death. Now that fate had given him another chance, he was going to make Zhao taste his own poison. Inside the holding cell, Lin Hao watched the clock calmly. He knew the show was about to begin. At that very moment, Zhao Tianyu was torturing another girl to death in his apartment. Soon Lin Hao's girlfriend got a call. Zhao said he had accidentally accidentally killed someone, because the truth was, Zhao and Lin Hao's girlfriend had been together all along. To protect Zhao, the scheming woman handed over Lin Hao's hair. They framed him once again and planted all the evidence to point his way. Meanwhile, Lin Hao's parents came to the police station, terrified and confused. They couldn't understand how their son, a law student, could have done something like this. They begged to take him home, but Lin Hao knew, if he left the state, girl knew the rich boy was violent, yet she still pushed her best friend toward him, because in her last life the friend ignored every warning and insisted on dating that rich boy. She only realized he was abusive after they married. Trying to escape him, the desperate friend ran to the girl's home. The girl kindly opened the door, but never expected the friend to shove her out as a shield. The poor girl had no time to scream. She became the sacrificial victim. Only at death did she learn the truth. The friend had lured the rich boy there on purpose, because once the girl died, he would be arrested for murder, and the friend could finally break free. Seeing that ungrateful woman, the girl swore that if she ever lived again, she would make her pay. When she opened her eyes again, she had returned to the day the two first met. Watching them exchange flirty glances, she felt her anger blaze, because whenever the friend chatted with male passengers, she always left the girl's number behind, and only when she confirmed the girl was safe would she make her move. Thinking of this, the girl slapped the friend without hesitation, then marched to the cabin, snatched back her own number, and publicly scolded the friend for breaking flight rules.
Wait, hold up. You think you know her story? No, this is just the beginning. Here's why you can't stop watching. 1, she's pregnant, but he says it's not his baby. The Whirlpool champ's wife is about to get the shock of her life. 2, her family's got your back like you've never seen. Sister Harry's ready to throw down with anyone who dares mess with her. You'll see why she's the ultimate ride or die. 3, the divorce papers. She's not just leaving, she's taking everything. Every gift, every cue, every I love you that was just a lie. You'll gasp when she calls the shots. 4, remember when he said she's small town nobody. Watch how he crawls back when he realizes he's the one who needs her. Betrayal's a two-way street, and she's serving karma on a platter. 5, oh, and there's a twist you'll never see coming. Who'd have guessed the real truth about that baby? Just when you think she's down, she's building a legacy. Trust me. You don't want to miss this roller coaster. Follow the drama now. Click to see her rise, fall, and rise again. It's wild, messy, your new obsession. Don't say I didn't warn you.